In this video, a Japanese woman who misunderstood herself as beautiful humorously talks about how she spent half her life.
Born in the countryside and raised in the place until high school. The countryside was depopulated and aging, and the village was full of old people. There were about 20 classmates, and since they were babies, they all grew up together and got along well. However, among the children in such a village, there are those who are popular and those who are not. At that time, my facial bones had not yet grown and I had an average face, so I was popular with the speed of my foot and excellent brains among the children of the village. My popularity was as good as one girl who has been one of my friends and the cutest girl in the village. For example, half of the 10 boys in the class liked her, and the other half liked me. What did I think there? She is popular, that means she is cute, that means I'm as popular as her, that means I'm as cute as her, that means rather, I'm prettier than her. I came to such an absurd conclusion. Then I got cocky. However, ironically, even if elementary school students have a big attitude, they will become popular as long as they are quick on their feet. Rather, my free-spirited and strong-willed personality was an advantage in the elementary school society, where the quiet guys wandered unconditionally at the bottom of the hierarchy. At that time, I was a silly monster born out of a rural closed society, with the way I called myself being Boku-chan, and being a boyish and too cutesy child, but my fast feet miraculously made it ineffective.
Boku is basically used by men, and chan is basically used for friendly others and sounds too cutesy when chan is used for yourself. Your face is bad and your intelligence is also low.
In this way, I enjoyed my youth from the lower grades of elementary school to the middle grades. Now that I think about it, that was clearly the peak of my life. It was when I was in the 5th grade of elementary school that the incident began to occur. 211. That's exactly right. The incident was a secondary sexual characteristic. I was happy that my first period came. Somehow at that time, I thought menstruation was a girl's status, and I was a little triumphant because I had my first period at an early stage. I thought I became an adult before everyone else, and I was conscious of my sexy self. But at the same time, terrible changes began to happen to me one after another. From the 5th grade, I suddenly gained weight, and not only did I have acne, but I also developed natural curly hair. Because of this, I became like the eerie Jaiko, with naturally curly hair, and my popularity declined in the blink of an eye. It was almost gone from being ranked high in the popular, favorite people ranking at the time.
Is your fat just from eating too much? Or by some stress? It can't be, 'cause you was ecstatic.
221. Until then, no matter how much I ate, I didn't gain weight, but even if I ate the same meals and snacks, I suddenly started gaining weight. Well, I just ate too much. And I think this was the turning point in my life. I lost the speed of my only weapon. The reason may be that weight gain makes it difficult to move the body. At this point my abilities were terrible. Ugly, fat, slow, selfish, annoyed, lazy, narcissistic, and acne-prone, but I was optimistic with a steely mentality, saying, well, I'm cute, so no problem.
Though I thought I was going to criticize you, I was puzzled by your unexpected good writing skill.
Reality slowly turned its back on me in contrast to my carefree self. Rather, it might be that the reality that has shown only the good side until then has finally shown me its true form. In addition to the most hated abilities among elementary and junior high school students as slow-footed fat, I gradually wandered to the bottom of the hierarchy due to my original self-centered personality. By the time I was in 6th grade, I was a completely gloomy and taciturn fat person. As expected, around this time, it wasn't the time to call myself Boku-chan or something like that. I had a faint sense of self-awareness, and my first-person pronouns were corrected.
Boku-chan? Are you a man?
234. I'm a woman. There was a time when I was doing trial and error. The thing that made me keenly aware of my position was the change in the boys' attitude. The boys who used to talk to me suddenly became less curt. I was very confused. Is everyone getting shy because they love me too much? I seriously thought. However, such developments like in manga did not occur after that, and I became estranged from boys until they graduated from elementary school. In retrospect, I were completely avoided and didn't contact with them. I want to praise myself for doing various things, such as making sexy faces in class and appealing to them without noticing the feelings of those boys. I was fighting with my depressed feelings while staring at my friend, who was still popular. At that time, I still barely admitted that I was ugly. On the contrary, I even committed the foolish act of writing love letters to boys and handing them over several times. Kind-hearted country boys never exposed themselves, they just gave me a creepy look. I am really grateful to them. I think the content was probably, "It's okay for me to be your girlfriend," or something like that. I want to die. The season for graduating from elementary school has come, with a vague feeling about the gap between my ideals and my reality. By this time, I had become an ugly who didn't stand out in class, but in the graduation album I was photographed with a hand on my chin and a smile on my face. The graduation album was distributed about 2 weeks before the graduation ceremony, and I looked at the completed album with excitement. I couldn't believe my eyes.
What was pictured there was?
There was ugly. There was an unmistakable ugly. The ugly was perfectly captured with an annoying face and pose. It was so similar to a Takayama that I couldn't help but say, "Oh, it's Takayama." Moreover, Mr. Takayama is a middle-aged man, but I am still a 12-year-old girl. When I was stunned at why we looked so much alike even though I weren't even wearing glasses. I heard a ruthless voice from the surroundings asking them to decide, who is the prettiest in the picture? But I didn't give up. I was holding on to the feeling that, at least one person will mention my name. Even if this picture is like Takayama, the real me should be cuter. I'm sure there must be people who feel the charm of usual me.
Ha ha ha.
Reality was heartless. No one ever said my name. I quietly felt that I had become an ugly girl who wouldn't even be talked about. Rather, I should be grateful that I wasn't laughed at, saying, "Isn't this a picture of Takayama?" I don't know why I wasn't bullied, but I think I grew up in a really good environment. I decided to go to junior high school with despair in my heart. Unlike in the past, elementary school students from surrounding villages and towns are gathered at a large junior high school in a neighboring city. My popular friend was in the same class, so I was never isolated. By the way, she is a beautiful girl, but she was a little nerd and quiet girl, so she got along with me from the upper grades. She was also naturally popular in the new environment. Because she was quiet, so it was not like she was very popular, but she was somehow treated special not only by boys, but also by girls. However, because she was shy, she always sticked with me, and when boys talked to me, she got nervous as if she hid in the shadow of my huge body. And it was me that was used by them. First of all, men tried to relieve her vigilance by getting along with ugly me. Without realizing the truth, I thought the second popular period has come. To my surprise, I still thought of myself as cute. Rather, I was always with her, which made me feel like I had joined the ranks of beautiful girls. In my mind, I felt like I was one of the 2 most beautiful girls in my class. All the guys who wanted to talk to her talked to me. Among them, there was a boy who looked like Hibari, the character from Katekyo Hitman Reborn, which both I and she were obsessed with at the time. I borrowed various manga from her, who was a bit of an otaku, and I fell in love with the character at first sight, so I also fell in love with the boy. The character, Hibari, had a fixed line that said, "I'm going to bite you to death." I was screaming in a high-pitched voice in a corner of the classroom, "He is really handsome. I want to be bitten to death by him." I think my classmates got really annoyed when they heard my loud voice. However, because cute my friend was next to me, they never yelled at me. She didn't seem to be very interested in men, but she supported my love. But she stopped me every time when I suggested whether I should tell the boy that I love him. She said it might be a little early. Thinking about it now, he who wanted to talk to my friend was completely too lazy to talk to me who directly interfere with him. She realized that I had no chance of making it from his behavior, and put a stop to me. However, I misunderstood this as, she also loves him, and That she felt the feeling of hesitation between our female friendship and our rival's relationship, and I got ecstatic that it seemed that the two have become tragic heroines. Playing the tragic heroine was fun, but my feelings for him grew steadily. And finally, I decided to shake off her restraint and say to him that I love you. When I was in elementary school, I was also a terrorist who gave love letters to several people, but this time the level of my feelings was different. My feelings for him are real. I passionately told her that I love him more seriously than any love I've ever experienced. She, who was kind and moved, listened intently to my cheap speech with tears in her eyes. At that time, classmates who had mobile phones were rare in the countryside, and neither I nor he had one. Therefore, I decided to tell him again by way of a love letter. I don't want to remember it, and my memory isn't very clear, but I only remember that the opening starts with a "Hi, it's me." From there, I spelled out my misunderstood self-assertion and passionate feelings on 2 pieces of writing paper. I think the ending was, "Please reply within 3 days." What on earth is it for ugly me to make him rush to give a reply? Of course, this letter did not make his good response. Rather, in conclusion, I stopped going to school. It seems that he consulted with his friends because my love letter was so eerie. I've been in trouble since before, I just want to talk to cute her, but I'm uncomfortable with the other girl's overly familiar body touching, and I'm scared that she wants to be bitten to death. The story quickly spread throughout the school, and I went from inconspicuous girl to avoidable girl. Then I was summoned by the head of the grade and scolded me, telling me that I know you're at the age where you want to love the boy, but you shouldn't cause trouble for him who don't want you to. Wherever I was on the school, I felt people laughing at me. What I endured the most was that when I went to school as usual, several boys imitated me by saying, "Hi, it's me." My weak mentality, which had grown up comfortably in my previous environment, collapsed instantly. I decided to stop going to school at the beginning of my junior high school life, the second semester of my first year. It was the world of the internet that I jumped into when I stopped going to school. Nico Nico Dauga, one of the video sites, and 2channel, one of the internet forums, which had just started to become popular at the time, were the best way to kill time. The days of posting erotic novels on a community site called Pico Pico Forest were quite fulfilling. I learned various things during my days immersed in the internet. Especially what I lacked at that time was objectivity. I never looked at myself objectively. The reason why I became deeply aware of the fact that I was seen as ugly during my days at home was because I exposed my face on the internet. Yes, I exposed my face to 2channel. It's hard to believe now, but at the time I expected someone would write, "You are really cute." Surprisingly, I continued to have unfounded self-confidence in spite of all my troubles. Of course I was criticized very much. There wasn't even a pretty word in the comment. And the thread was growing faster than expected. I never thought something like this would happen. I was trembling in front of the screen. But a miracle happened. The picture of my face was so ugly that they led to the idea that it was just a man with a funny face. Starting with a reply saying, "Looking closely, isn't this guy an old man?" The flow turned around and warm air began to flow. As soon as I finished reading it, I responded, "Did you find out?" and quietly deleted the image. At the same time as I learned that I was so ugly, I got the benefits from being an exceptional ugly.
That's why I thought you were used to the internet.
I'm getting tired of writing it, so I'll finish it briefly. Because I stopped going to school, my pretty friend also stopped going to school. We continued truancy for 3 years. We both entered the unintelligent high school. My friend got a boyfriend. I got panic. I got hit it and quit it by a man I got along with in dating app. I became a clingy girl. We entered a university in Tokyo. Became popular only by nerds. On the other hand, my friend gets married while they were still in college. I realized the truth. But there were no place where I can get a job. Became unemployed. Me and her became clerks together at a company run by her parents. I'm always bothering her. She gave birth to a very handsome boy in January this year and became a young mother. There were many things, but I think that being able to get along with her is the most fruitful thing in my life. Sorry for the rough writing. I drank too much last night and got diarrhea, so I'm going to bed early.
Your friend is so kind. Thinking about it now, having said that I want you to bite me to death was exactly typical of the thought in adolescence.